Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me this evening are Jen.
Hello.
And Adam.
Hello.
And as it is once again a Friday, I'm the keeper for this evening, Sanguine. How are you both doing tonight?
I'm well. I gotta probably avoid the Twitter though, because I absolutely some liberal on my side of the fence on the Twitter was like, "What reasons do you have for disliking Trudeau?" And I was gonna limit myself to like
All of
two
them?
things, but then I couldn't stop. The list just kept going, Sanguine, and then I was like, "Why do you like him?"
Yeah.
It's a shorter list.
It quickly becomes all of them when you're talking about someone like that, because he is an absolute scumfuck. He's an absolute scumfuck that can be extremely personable, but he's an absolute scumfuck all the same.
It's just my rule of thumb when I piss off the liberals is to give them like a week, because they'll read for like a day. Then I come back and it's silence. I'm like, look, I can go back to the cuteness of Kefki, which I'm not allowed to say, but she posts all those ferrets everywhere on Twitter. I'm like, thank God you're like my breath of fresh air.
Yeah, this is the thing that always drives me crazy when people say that Twitter is complete cancer. No, Twitter is about 80% cancer. I will give you the 80% cancer, but that's also 80% cancer that you can opt into or opt out of.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can also find food porn.
Yep.
And the food porn is not cancer. The food porn just makes you hungry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could curate your X experience with just liking and following a bunch of a specific thing.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Like on the food porn account that I had, and I'll have to remake because I just lost access to it last week. You can make it so that your entire thing is food, VTubers, and attractive women. That's really easy to do.
I could do that. What I've tried to do though is like make a mix of both, because I'm in my own version of a protest at the moment. I figure if up in Canada they put me in jail for life because I call out people for behaving like pedos, I'm not okay with that, but I'm okay with that because there's standards, and having an opinion's okay. Can be wrong, but it's okay. And having the right to say so should also be okay. I'm also okay with people calling me out if it's stupid. That's okay too. But they were saying life in prison for what is hate speech, and that seems to change and evolve the longer my prime minister's in charge. So I still want to follow that half so I can show them my left cheek that says "fuck you."
Yeah.
But the other half of me needs sanity, so I follow Kefki and cats and dogs and cute things.
And
just
you're
so
doing that with the knowledge that you will see absolute insanity and the dumbest shit known to man. Which, that's, like I said, you can opt into the cancer and you can opt out of the cancer. So, I don't get it's always cancer. No, it isn't always cancer. You can opt in and opt out. And if you opt in, going, well, my feed's entirely cancer, yeah, you opted into the cancer feed. If you didn't opt into the cancer feed and you were just like, yeah, all I liked was pictures of the countryside and food.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing nonstop, look at this weird sexual activity that I like to engage in, I could understand why you're upset. But if you opted into the politics and porn side of Twitter, then you shouldn't really be pissed off that your Twitter feed is full of politics and porn. That was what you opted into. That was what you said. I want this in my feed. I want the politics. I want the porn.
Yeah, and even I would say just commenting on it, because I could see where somebody may not be following any of it, may not really be liking any of it or any of that.
Yep.
But at the same end, they may comment on a few of these topics, and now all of a sudden these topics are going to be springing up on it because the algorithm thinks, hey, well, you commented on it once, so you must have some interest in it.
You're interested in this. You commented on it.
Now the only exception to that rule, because I do agree with you, like it is algorithm, it is what your choices are. The only exception that I will make to that rule has been lately for certain groups that I'm no longer necessarily a part of, and the ones that I'm saying are usually entertainment based. So, like, say you're in the gaming community right now, or say you're still an anime fan, which I don't know why you would be. It's the same 12 people in every fucking show they reproduce, but all the same, if you're
talking about the English voice actors, yes, the English voice actors are fairly limited. If you're talking about the Japanese voice actors,
I'm
of Japanese.
Well, I have nothing against the sub. That is subbed. I that's what I liked more anyway. I've always liked sub better, but
well, speaking of that, I mean, did you mean like the same 12 characters? Because that's what I thought you meant, like, oh, it's it's an anime, it's a new show, but it's the same 12 different kind of characters that are in each show.
It's a little
but the voice actor, that makes more sense. Like, yeah, dude, it is.
Yeah.
It's worse than that, Mr. Adam. Like, I will watch things that are like, because I wanted to see what was going on lately. Like, every once in a while I'll speak, see if there's anything new that's good. The last time I liked something, it was the first season of Goblin Slayer, which should tell you something about how long it's been. But every once in a while, I'll see what they're putting out, and I'll compare it to the manga, and I'll compare it to like the Korean version, because I've liked quite a few of the Korean versions. And between the stuff that comes to the West is absolutely being butchered. That's true. It's also like they do have the same like 12 people working in every show. So you might have a sci-fi flick to a school flick to a fantasy flick. And so Mr. Swordsman is also the teacher in this one, but he's also the alien in that one. And I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. After a while, you've lost me, because I see you as the alien swordsman teacher guy. Like,
which, like I said, that's more of a problem when it comes to the Western voices, because when it comes to the Japanese voices, there's a fuck ton of VAs.
Well, it's also a lot of their VAs have a lot. They're better at tying them to characters, and they've got a little bit more reach. Like, our Western guys have a couple people like that, and then the rest of them sound the same in every character that they play.
Yep. It's kind of like, I've talked about this before. My 3 grades of actor, typically, you have a standard actor, and a standard actor is themselves in every role, and they're never amazing, they're never terrible, but they can be good or bad depending on the quality of the directing. So it doesn't always take you out, but it doesn't drag you in. Then you have good actors, and good actors will be the best actor in a bad movie. And by the best actor, I mean that they will actually make you like the character that they're playing in a bad movie.
Yeah. And
then you have amazing actors, who are the actors that you will see a movie with them in it, and someone will go, hey, so-and-so was in that movie, and you'll be going, bullshit, they weren't in that movie. I know what the fuck they look like. And then you'll look up the cast, and you'll go, son of a bitch, they were.
Yeah, it's the same with the VAs. Like, and I'm not throwing shade at all of the Western, because I've seen some that were like, yeah, you impressed me.
Yeah.
But the other 5 people surrounding you didn't.
Yep.
And that does bother me a little bit. Also, when they have to change things so much for the Western audience, I've never liked that, because it does change the anime. Like, I stopped watching Funimation back in the late 90s, early 2000s, because they were even in scenes of Dragon Ball where, yes, you've had a fight, somebody's lost an arm. I get they're an alien, but there's blood. You're gonna have blood. It's okay.
Yep.
You know?
At least they didn't go the full Chinese route. Have you seen the Chinese edits for violence?
Yeah, where it's
They're-
like white.
Yeah. Everyone's just been completely painted in a bukkake.
That's funny.
All of the blood has been
Is
painted
that
white.
does that mean like they cover themselves in an enormous amount of
Cum?
milk?
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
that they are completely targeted by a massive amount of cum.
Oh.
Coom everywhere. You should
Yeah.
like it.
That's what China did in order to censor its anime that ends up being able to come out in China. It was, okay, you can have anime, but everyone, rather than dying, it's going to look like they've just been fucked into submission.
The other thing I resented them for, and believe it or not, it'll go back to something as silly as like Sailor Moon. Like, yes, I remember my version of it, but when I actually read the books, because yeah, it wasn't too long till I could find the actual novels, because they did translate them. I was like, at no point did you ever think that the reason you had to change the story so much was because maybe it wasn't appropriate for our audience in the first place? Because it's not a bad story. It's a good story, but it has a hell of a lot more context to it where, no, a 13-year-old isn't going to understand this.
Yep. And I can kind of understand some of the... So there's the big debate of localization versus translation.
Yeah.
And I can get some of the localization side because, yeah, a American teen in middle America, at least in the 90s, doesn't know what onigiri is. So you want to translate onigiri as something that they would understand, as a portable food that you can buy at a bunch of different places, translating that as either a sandwich or a donut. Okay, I can understand. It's a bit silly, but at least it's something that I'm going, yep, that is kind of a similar thing when it comes to that, where onigiri, you can buy that at any Japanese convenience store, and it is just something that you would get. It's kind of a comfort food. It can be healthy or it can be not healthy at all. So translating that as either a sandwich or a donut, sure, that makes sense. I'm fine with that. It's when you take things like, what is it, Dragon Maid is the anime where one of the characters is a dragon that has enormous tits, and she normally dresses rather sexily.
How does she dress sexily with enormous pits?
Tits.
Oh, tits.
Yeah, enormous tits.
I was like, whoa. How
she
big are her
dresses
armpits?
kind of sexily with the enormous tits. She wears low-cut tops and shit like that. Somewhat revealing clothing. And in the anime, in the Japanese translation, there's a scene where she dresses very conservatively for an episode. And the line that she says when she's asked, why you dress that way, is effectively, well, there were a bunch of people that thought I was dressing a bit provocatively, and they complained, so I decided to kind of be a bit more modest. That was effectively the tone and tenor of the line. It was, people kept staring at my tits, figured I'd cover them for a little bit. And then in the American translation, they mentioned feminism and the male gaze.
Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing a meme about this, where and you know that's actually where it's like, that's where the problem comes from.
Yep.
Well,
when you were talking earlier, I like the first thought that popped in my head was like a commie, I think is it Kami? Is it or Kappa?
Kami God.
No, Kappa.
Kappa.
The
The
little like turtle gremlin creature.
I also
turtle creature with the dish of water on its head.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, I can understand if it's like they're struggling to explain this cultural folklore type thing, not much in the way our Mothman, but it's yeah, no, that's not what we're talking about because
Yeah.
they'll work around it. No, they
Yep.
tend to focus on this.
Yeah, and it's the thing that I was mentioning with old school anime dubs. One of the reasons why Funimation was given a lot of shit early on, not more recently, but early on, was they would dub in weird things, like they would call onigiri jelly donuts.
Oh, the funny one was yet again you could go back to Dragon Ball Z.
Yep.
But Master Roshi with a beer, it's
Yep.
water. Now it's apple juice. Now it's piss. Now it's a bear. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stick with the bear.
They would change the drink constantly. So
Wait, they had it as piss at one point.
No, it
was just a
Oh.
yellow
I was
drink
like,
that
whoa.
everyone joked was he's now drinking piss. It was meant to be like a lemonade or something like that.
I remember they had the instead of hell it was what FHIL or something like that.
There's a whole bunch of different ones where they would change words in order to make it more palatable to Western cultures. Like I said, one of the main ones was onigiri became jelly donuts, but they didn't change the animation, so it was still triangular onigiri that they were just calling jelly donuts, and everyone was going, "Those aren't jelly donuts. What the fuck is this?" But they said jelly donuts.
Well,
But
I was going to say that I kind of disagree with them changing that now too, because like back then I could understand, or with like kids who've never encountered a different like cultural, like even just like a different culture, they're not going to understand this is why it's different. I could understand doing that.
Yep.
But kids have known what onigiri is since Pokemon.
Yeah.
well, they
it's-
started learning after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I was saying that it's one thing if your localization is doing shit like that, where it's, oh, they're talking about a food that they don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
So if you want to change karaage in a translation to popcorn chicken,
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
you know,
Yes.
and I'd honestly
Karaage,
say,
for those
like,
who don't know, is Japanese fried chicken that's kind of shaped like popcorn chicken. It's about a 1-inch bit of chicken, deep fried. It's absolutely delicious, really crispy. But translating that as popcorn chicken, yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out. That works.
I would say comparable item with the jelly donut aspect would have been mochi.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not baked or anything, but I mean, it's pastry.
It's a very
type thing.
disappointing donut if you're expecting a donut.
Yeah, it's the Seattle donut.
I have had them before. They're not like they're a hit and a miss. Like I've had some that were good, and then I had some where I was like, why?
No,
Why?
Proper mochi are delicious, but
Yeah,
yeah, there's some really disappointing versions of mochi.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's one thing if you're just making it, hey, we're telling the exact same story, we're just giving a more well-known substitution for this minor thing. It isn't part of the story that we're changing. All it is we're saying rather than it being food X, it's food Y. Sure, that works because, again, that doesn't change the story. All it does is it makes it so it's a little bit easier to understand. Like I said, if you want to substitute sandwiches for onigiri or donuts for onigiri, I'm not really going to be pissed off about that. I'll be going, really? Is that necessary? You could just say onigiri, and if you really wanted to, you could do what the old fan dubs did of onigiri, and then you'd look at the very bottom of the screen, and it would have asterisks. Onigiri, a rice bowl filled with fish,
Yeah.
pickled plums, or these other things.
Like I actually started to think that a lot of these localizers just didn't really have a love for Japan in the first place, because that's one of the things that made me attracted to anime in the first place, was because it was a really nice introduction to Japan. It was
Yep.
a nice storytelling way of introducing me to some of how Japan might look at themselves and some of their stories. Like, I've never been to their schools. I don't know their history in the way that they do, but I wanted to learn their stories because they seem like decent people. I don't agree
Yep.
with them on everything, but I shouldn't. I don't agree with everybody on everything, but they're decent people. And then I'm like, you guys don't know anything about Japan. Like, have
Yep.
you ever thought about looking into these people? Because they're brilliant, in their own way. They do their own thing. But it's,
And like I said, there's a massive difference between minor changes like the
yeah,
ones that I just mentioned, and then massively changing what something means. Someone saying, yeah, people were complaining, or people kept on commenting on my tits, so I decided to cover them up for a day, is very different than, well, you know how the patriarchy is. Those aren't synonymous. Those aren't at all alike. You have to make it a like for like, or close enough like for like. Like, if there's a Japanese slang term, you might not have an American slang term that fits, or an American word that fits just perfectly, or an English word that fits just perfectly. But you have a similar slang term that fits close enough that everyone goes, oh yeah, that makes sense. And
Well,
I'm fine with those sorts of edits. The edits that piss me off are the edits that you're going, these two things are entirely fucking different. There's nothing that's the same between these things. And you're just doing this because you have a political stance where you went, well, I want this to be the message of this creation that I am not a part of. All I'm meant to be doing is translating this in a way that a audience in this area will most understand the work.
dude, it'd be like if the inker got the pencil work and was, setting to work, and all of a sudden they added a third arm to a character.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what what it is the people are sitting here. They don't really do care about it, because
no,
if they did, they would try and faithfully do it. But
and,
Yep.
and they don't care about the people they're doing it for either. And I'm laughing a little bit at Pokemon, but I still feel bad for some of the people that probably did genuinely play it and weren't involved in any of this stuff. Because if you've seen any of the shit that came out of that,
with the Pokemon Go,
oh
yeah, no, it's
oh yeah,
but again, it's okay. The idea, I guess, behind why they would do this is because they're getting money that are from investors that support this type of stuff. Um, and even if that's the case, like, you can't deny the evidence of, look, the customers are not happy with these results,
Yep.
and you keep doing it, and you're going to keep losing money,
it's also like
If you keep doing this, you're going to kill the business that you're relying on in order to get people to pay you.
and the
Do it properly.
and the people they've hired are some of the worst projectors of all. Like, they can't see themselves in a character, so they need to invent one. And I'm like, that's called fan fiction. Go invent some fan fiction. Go make a Mary Sue for yourself, and there's your story. But like, I don't want a Shogun with white people in it. I don't want a Shogun with black people in it. I want a Shogun that tells me about the part of Japan that I don't know.
Yep.
Like, we weren't involved in an era. Nobody was except for them. That's their history. It is their history.
Yep. And
If you want to make the story about when we have contact, they've got that already.
But at this point, I think we've already established that these are the types of people who are unable to create anything new, because if there
Yeah.
was a market for this, if there was an audience for this, they would have jumped on it and profited and just gone off the rails, skyrocketed into the stratosphere of money. But they don't, because they're devoid of any sort of creativity to be able to craft something to get them out. So they have to leech onto other properties. And well, I mean, look, I think Warhammer is kind of the final straw.
Yeah.
I
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I feel bad that they did that too.
Well, because I mean, for a long time they were, yeah, we're the gatekeepers. We're holding the line. But with the current stuff going on,
the custodies.
I mean, look, haha, my custodies just handed my jacket into the closet. Wakada wakada. But the
So, which of you wants to explain what's happening with Warhammer, or shall I?
I mean, I only know tidbits. I know the current goings ons, but like I said on the Monday show, I'm not really big on Warhammer. There is one tweet I want to bring up real quick, and then I'll let somebody else explain the situation. But somebody had brought up on an X quote or whatever message, romance needs to be more part of the lore in Warhammer. And then there was the whole like, oh yeah, well it's Warhammer and you're gonna take the war out of the hammer. I'm like, no, this is the pattern. We're seeing the pattern is they get into it and they distort it to the point where it's like, yeah, I know you guys have this intricate story, lore story on where these people are coming from and what's going on. And then you also have the aspect, because you can't forget that it's also a tabletop game. So you have that aspect. And I kind of get where Quiz was getting pissed off with the true gamer, because I was seeing a lot of people saying like, yeah, they don't even have any minis. And it's like, well, sure, they may not be interested in playing the tabletop, but they're interested in the lore. And
Yeah.
the lore has been established. Like you can be interested in the Star Wars extended universe lore
and never have purchased a Star Wars toy.
Yeah, you didn't have to buy a Darth Vader toy to be one of the cool fucking actual one Highlander fuckers that are out there. That's what they're doing. But you're seeing it, it's like, oh yeah, we want the romance. It's like, dude, why don't you just go write a fucking romance novel about space marine type characters? And then
And the
do
thing
what
that
you do.
drives me crazy is there's a way in everything. Every story you can get to have an aspect that you're looking for. You just have to do the legwork. We've talked about this before, Adam, where if you want to tell a story about Black Legionnaires in Gaul,
Yes.
you can tell that story. You just have to do the fucking legwork to tell that story. You have to come up with how did the Black Legionnaires end up here? Well, they were the Numidian cavalry auxiliaries from the African legions, and then their general got transferred from this area to this area, and he brought them along with. Fantastic. You now have your Black Legionaries in this story, where it won't be entirely historically accurate, but it's believable enough that people will go, okay, let's hear your fucking story now.
If the story is good enough, and we're talking if it's just the book or audio, whatever, if the story is good enough, that would work, because you would be able to put aside the historical, okay, maybe it might not work, maybe it did work, who knows, because it's it's a fictional story, but they work.
You have to Make it clear that you aren't trying to tell the true history. You're making a story. And then you have to justify what you're doing in your story. And if you make it clear that you aren't trying to be entirely historically accurate, and you aren't trying to say that this is the real history, you're just telling an interesting historical fiction of what would happen if these groups did X or Y, then you have people that will go, oh, that's a cool story. I like this story idea. Let's figure out how the author goes about this. And if it's a good story, people will like it. People will continue to consume that material. If it's a shit story, people will go, no, this sucks, and they'll move on.
Well, see, that's where we move into the issue of, well, actually, I guess part of the drive of these people,
They lack the talent.
they lack the talent, but they want the prosperity and the riches that comes from these things. They could do that. They could, create their own stuff and put it out there, but they know that if it doesn't all of a sudden become, oh man, we're gonna, Disney wants to make 5 movies on it, and oh shit, now we got, multiple series of comic books and TV shows. They know if they don't get that,
They're a failure.
they're a failure, and they can't accept failure. And then again, it goes right back to, okay, well, are you an actual artist or creator, or are you just somebody, a businessman trying to find the quick buck? Because an artist wouldn't mind it. You wanted to create something for people. You didn't want to create it just for your own beneficial gains. That you create it because make you happy.
It comes down to the matter of, can you justify it? Because if you can justify it, people will go along with a lot of shit. If you can justify it and you can make it a good story, awesome. If you can't justify it, people will immediately start going, well, this doesn't make any fucking sense. And if your response is, well, just consume it and enjoy it, well, no.
Yeah.
You not making sense is making it so that is a barrier to them enjoying it. If you want them to enjoy it, make it make sense. If you want them to enjoy it, make it good. So once you have it good, once you have it make sense, then people will go, okay, so yeah, it isn't historically accurate, but this was fucking cool. And they explained it this way. So yeah, it isn't exactly what happened, but fuck yeah, it's cool.
Well,
And you can do this with a lot of things. The Black Legion in Gaul is a really good example, because there's a bunch of ways that you could make that make sense in lore, in the setting, and have it be something that people go, okay, yeah, I'm curious to hear about what Numidian cavalrymen would do in the Gaulish campaign.
Yeah, having to figure out how to fight in wooded areas or swampy areas.
Yeah,
But hold on, going back to what we were speaking about earlier with the what was it, the
the localizers,
shit.
anime
Was it-
localizers.
No, I'm fucking getting confused with the chat and this.
Oh,
but going on
Warhammer
with
40K?
Oh yes, Warhammer 40K. Apparently there was a point where or I saw a tweet on X, and they started putting out like why this kind of came about, and apparently speculation.
It's always been a case. Ignore it. Was the answer from the company.
Well, no. The speculation was that Amazon wanted to have what are they called? Custodians. They wanted to have a female custodians in a scene, have a couple of lines, and then get out of the armor and show that she's still very powerful. And I guess Games Workshop was fighting against it, and to try and remedy the effect, um, they went ahead and released the codex with the change in the lore. But apparently the whoever is running the Twitter account,
said they've always been a thing.
yeah, they started
over
going
it.
with it and just you know,
So for
suck a
those
dick,
who
right? So
for
it was
those who
like,
don't know, let me just give a quick explanation. There's a faction that's known as the Custodians in 40K. If Inquisitor was here, this would be better because he knows more. But they were augmented and designed by the God Emperor of mankind to be his bodyguards. And there's more lore implications with that than them just being bodyguards, but the declared reason was they would guard the emperor and guard the emperor's political seat of power.
and I can't remember
They
who I watched a video where they said it was like they were
10,000.
10,000,
10,000 of them.
and even of them, it was like you had to be a superior type of body form to be able to withstand whatever process they. Again, I don't know. I'm not too into Warhammer. I'm just getting into it to understand what they're talking about.
There's a shit ton of different augmentations that you have to go through in order to become a custodian. It's mainly a bunch of genetic mods and chemical mods, as well as massive indoctrination that makes you this ridiculous being. But technically, you're just a human. It's just you're a human at the absolute peak of what humanity can yield.
Yeah.
So you aren't completely created, but you are forced to the utmost potential of humanity.
Yeah.
This has, throughout the lore, been men. There has never been a mention of a female custodian. Now, the story in the Codex is actually kind of interesting of a female custodian. All they had to do was give a justification for why there's now female custodians, and the whole setting of 40K gives you a really fucking good justification. The war is going to shit for everyone. They're trying to get every edge they can. They're increasing the number of custodians, and they found an old process to try to make females custodians. Some of them have worked. So now there's going to be some female custodians.
Yes.
Boom. You have a justification in lore that people might like, they might not like, but at least there's a justification in lore. And it's a justification that makes sense in lore. It isn't completely nonsensical. And it isn't just, well, they've always been here, shut the fuck up. What do you mean they haven't been here? Because no one's going to like being told they've always been here, shut the fuck up. Because there's absolute lore hounds in any setting. And those lore hounds are going, what the fuck do you mean they've always been here? Here's every single named character from this group, and not a single one is female. Here's every time that they've been referred to, and they've always been referred to as battle brothers, or this term or that term. They've never been referred to by any term that would even hint at there being females in the ranks. What the fuck are you talking about? And the response has been a shit ton of people going, well, you're just being sexist. No, what they're saying is, if you're going to change the lore, then change the lore with something that makes fucking sense. And change the lore in a way that I'm able to go, oh, okay, here's the reason why this shit's happening. You aren't just trying to pretend that this has always been the case when it's clear it has never been the case. You're acknowledging that this is a change. You're giving me a reason. Now I can like that reason. I can dislike that reason. I can say that that isn't a good enough reason, but I have a reason that tells me why this is now happening.
When I was going through the comments on a lot of these posts, because people are going on a lot about it.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they use? I guess there's other factions or armies that they could have used, but they specifically wanted this one image, and
There's another faction that fights along with the Custodies that
like
is
there's an
pretty much
Inquisitor.
tied into the Custodies. They aren't Custodies, but they are so closely associated with Custodies that they're functionally always side by side. It's called the Sisters of Silence.
Yeah, they said it was something like that. But again, they wanted this character to have a couple of lines. So, I mean, I don't know. So I don't know if that's a literal thing.
The thing is that from what I've heard, I haven't read the full story, but the general idea of the introduction of this female custodian, it's kind of an interesting idea because there's this thing called the blood sport with the custodians where it's the custodians will try to come up with different ways of attacking the area that they're trying to defend. So pretty much it's no holds barred in the attempt to test the defenses. So the idea is you have a custodian that is assigned to come up with a way of attacking this site, and then the most creative attacks and the most effective attacks are kind of noted as a holy shit, we need to prepare for this, as well as a good fucking job, so-and-so. That was fucking brilliant. Never do that again.
It's also, who are they trying to sell that to? Like, the more I sit there and dwell on it, like, yes, there's the odd woman that likes the, okay, I make the odd troll character, but most of the time that I'm playing a campaign, I don't want to look like a man. Like, regardless of what you say, this is a character that looks like a man.
Well, that's something that there's a debate on, because the people that are saying that, well, they've always been women, they're now saying that, yeah, they've always been women. It's just that every custodian looks so much alike, and that they're these ridiculous behemoths that you couldn't tell, and no one else could tell by looking at the character, that they were female. That's only some of the people that are proponents of this idea. Others are saying that no, they were females and they looked like females. So it depends on which element of the argument you're talking about, how the
let me give my
custodies looked.
Let me give my final bit on this. To be honest, because the looks aspect, apparently there are people asking for female heads to be able to place.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen how Quiz and Donkey built their armies, and your army, Sanguine, to a degree. But so I understand, like, yeah, you could piece together. But again, okay, so the reason I think that they were laser focused on this, and again, it was in this tweet that they had mentioned it, and it makes sense. Especially given everything we've seen recently, right? Is they really wanted to show that powerful female lead, or not lead, but character in a top position type thing, just to have it in there. And again, seeing some comments, it was, yo, this is just a start. You allow this, it's just gonna snowball, and we've seen it in every other fucking industry. It's not a fallacy to say that, yeah, if this is happening, look at Pokemon Go. Like that's where you're gonna head. There's no reason for it other than people are making money off of it. I mean, we can sit there and say that, yeah, no, people have emotions and blah blah blah. No, people are making money off of it. That's the reality of it. people are hiring them because they want the investment money, and the people who are given the investment money are saying, okay, also hire these people.
And again, like I've said, the biggest complaint that I have is make it so that you can tell, again, any fucking story as long as you justify it in the actual setting and you make it make sense. You can make a story compelling. You can make a story work. The problem is they want to just will a story into existence without doing any of the legwork to go, see, this is a interesting story that you guys will enjoy. They just want it to be there. And when you just want it to be there, you don't make a good story. You don't make a compelling story. You just tell a absolute bullshit little narrative that no one fucking enjoys. It just gets what you want to have happen as quickly as it can, which isn't a thing that is appealing. You need to justify your fucking stories. And like I said, the little blurb about a female custodian in the codex, it isn't bad. It needs a lot more built into it, but it in isolation isn't terrible. It's a custodian doing something absolutely ridiculous in one of the blood games, which is kind of the whole shtick of the blood games, is custodians doing ridiculous shits. And the custodian, the female custodian in the codex, does something ridiculous. She nearly nukes the planet in a think fast chuckle nuts fashion, which there's other examples of custodians doing shit like that in the blood games, where it's, oh yeah, there's another point where one of the custodians kidnapped a gene stealer cultist higher up and unleashed them during the blood games. It's a fairly common thing that they will do something really fucked up, really massive during these blood games, and it will be a, let's see how you fucking react to this. So her introduction of, well, let's see how you react to the planet being nuked, kind of interesting. It's everything around it that they drop the fucking ball on.
Well, I think I can't speak on Warhammer because I don't know that franchise. You know, I know you guys enjoy it, and I'm glad that you do. And I'll stand by you in fighting for you know, keeping the weirdos out. But
I'm not a fan of it.
But the thing with the Pokemon Go, I don't think they realize that, like the clothing, they're gonna fail with this one too.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, listen, I can support people who are gay without wanting to dress like them. You know, it's this thing that the feminists don't want to admit to. Clothing is symbolic. I just noticed I had this conversation with a couple of my female friends. And we noticed that, like, the last couple of years, like, yeah, you'll go in looking for a t-shirt and maybe some pants or some shorts, and you're like, I would look like a flaming homo if I wore that. And I don't want to send off signals that say, like, hey, I'm a lesbian when I'm not a lesbian, because it's just that's not what you do. And when you do this kind of shit with like a Pokemon,
it's more difficult to get the amount of dick that you want if you look like a lesbian. Yeah,
it just kind of works like that, you know. And so when you're playing a Pokemon Go game and you're like, I'm a woman, you are a woman, you want to look like a woman, and a lot of the gay people that you're claiming to support, they're really pissed off too, because they kind of want to look like a woman. The fact that they don't is part of the reason they're griefing, you know.
I've been seeing, I don't know if it's 100% true, but I've been seeing that apparently characters have changed. Like they actually changed the character model, so even if you had your stuff set up a certain way, now it's altered. Same outfit and everything, but altered to fit whatever androgynous figure that they want.
See, this is the thing that drives me crazy, because this is the same issue that I had when it came to the bullshit around Cyberpunk when it first was coming out, and people going, "Oh my god, you can be transgender in Cyberpunk." I'm going, this is a world where you can go in for surgery that completely swaps your genitals. Why the fuck are there people that we would identify as trans people as we know them in this setting? Because if someone was born male and they want to be female, they go in for the cyberpunk surgery, and holy shit, they're completely unrecognizable, undistinguishable rather, from an actual female. You have a woman that wants to be a man, cyberpunk surgery. They come out looking indistinguishable from a man. Holy shit. Why the fuck are you making it so that this future tech that has this ability, you need to have this unrecognizable, this, well, they look like this, but they act like, no, you would just go, okay, so they went in, they got the surgery. They feel like they're in the wrong body. They made their body the right body. That's tech that is in the setting. You don't need to have anything else. You want to have someone that looks completely androgynous? Okay, that I can understand. You want to have an androgynous form? Sure. But having, well, they look like a woman, but they go by masculine pronouns. Why? Why would you have that? Why would you have that in this setting? If they feel like they're supposed to be a man, they would just get all the surgery in this extremely high-tech, futuristic society and be the man that they feel like. Why are you acting like they would do anything else?
Rotten Corpse says, would you like to be a pepper too? Right?
Yeah, it's absolutely infuriating because I've talked about this series before, the Commonwealth Saga. The Commonwealth Saga, in that setting, you can completely reprofile your body and then transfer your consciousness into it.
Yeah.
Or just reprofile your body while you're living in it. So there aren't really anyone that you would recognize as transgender in that series because they believe that they're male and they look male. They believe that they're female and they look female. You can have twinks, you can have butch lesbians, but everyone just kind of makes their body how they want their body to look. And that's what people look like. So there isn't this, well, I have a disconnect in my brain and body. Why? You can just go to the clinic, get that shit sorted out in 30 minutes. You're done. You never have to worry about it again.
That's not true. I could add a couple inches to my height.
Yeah, and in the Commonwealth series, you would say, I want to be a couple inches taller. And they'd go, okay, how many inches taller? And you'd go, well, I want to be at least X height. And they'd go, okay, we can do that.
And it doesn't involve that weirdo breaking your bones and adding plates to them.
Oh, no. In the Commonwealth series, what they would most likely do is you'd go through a rejuve and reprofiling treatment, and you come out at the age that you wanted to be, at the height and physical description that you want to be.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the cool things about the setting. In the setting, they have these treatments called rejuve treatments, which de-age a person, and they de-age a person while also allowing the person to decide how they want to look. So you go in for a rejuve, and you want to come out at the age of 18, Well, your body is now that of an 18-year-old. Your mind's still in it, and you wanted to be 6'2", not an inch taller, not an inch shorter. Your new body is 6'2", not an inch taller, not an inch shorter.
I want to be Shaq height.
And they can do that. That was one of the things within the Commonwealth saga. It was everyone has this reprofiling and rejuve treatment that they can do in the setting of the world. Functionally, no one dies due to old age, and even killing someone in a murder sense is extremely difficult. What typically happens if you try to kill someone in a murder sense is, yeah, you terminate that body. They're back a week later.
There's a murderer?
Yeah, in the Commonwealth saga, there's several murders that take place in the Commonwealth saga. And each time, the person that's murdered gets rejuved. Or they call that version of rejuvenation relifing. They get relifed, and the person's brought back. In some instances, they're brought back with all their memories right up until the point that you killed them.
Shit.
And it's, like I said, a fantastic sci-fi series that has a world that feels lived in to me. And it feels realistic because the Commonwealth Saga doesn't just do what a lot of sci-fi series do of, oh yeah, we're dealing with all these problems today, but in the future, they're just gone. No, the Commonwealth Saga goes, we're humans. The problems that we're dealing with today, they're going to linger for fucking ages. And we're still going to be bitching and moaning about ideological differences well into the future.
Yeah, probably.
What we're going to have is, in the future, when we become a multi-planetary species, we'll probably have the ability to go, you know what? Fine. You want to have your society based off of XYZ? Here's a planet. Fuck off.
Well, hold on. At that point, does it become then you get a divide between the people who just accept that and just become another cog in the machine, a brick in the wall, whatever, piece of the board, or they go the other route and they say, no, I'm going to live my life out to the fullest and fuck everything else, and they're the ones that, you know, they might burn out quicker, but they're doing things, you know, just without regard to the future.
And to answer your question, Adam, yes.
Oh, shit.
That does take place in the world. There's individuals that purposefully go out into low-tech fringe worlds to live their lives there because they think that all of the tech is tainting what it means to be human. So they go out into the universe and they set up a world set up so that it isn't a high-tech world. And they don't go through rejuve. They don't go through that. They just live out their natural...
Holy shit. Are you talking about space Amish?
Yeah, there's space Amish in the setting. There's also...
Fucking awesome. That is a Saturday morning cartoon I would happily watch. In the year 21XX, colony of Amish set forth on a spaceship and set sails and found a planet to colonize, and now this is their life on planet
there's straight up space Amish in the setting. There's a world that's known as Huxley's Haven that it isn't space Amish. This is a different one. in Huxley's Haven, in the setting, what they've done is every single person that lives in Huxley's Haven was designed for whatever role they were taking on in Huxley's Haven. And now you might think that, I mean, they were designed as in they were raised to do that role. No. No one is naturally born in Huxley's Haven.
One does not truly get born in
Everyone in Huxley's Haven is designed from the ground up to fulfill a purpose.
Oh.
And depending on their purpose, they get different genes, they get different physical aspects. So one of the characters in the Commonwealth series is a investigator that was born in Huxley's Haven. They were designed to be the most ridiculous investigator ever, and to be extremely, no, this is what the law is, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, I'm not going to take that bribe, fuck you. And in fact, you trying to bribe me is illegal as shit. I'm going to report you for that. And the premise behind her character, this is explained early on, is she was made to be born in Huxley's Haven. A group of people that were massively against Huxley's Haven because they thought it was cruel and unusual and anti-human to design people for specific jobs. They kidnapped a bunch of children from Huxley's Haven, and they decided to raise them in different ways to really show that it was nurture, not nature, that defined the people of Huxley's Haven. And the result was, yeah, it changed her a bit, but the moment that she found out that her parents had actually kidnapped her, she reported them and turned them into the police after getting all the documentation to prove that she had been kidnapped from Huxley's Haven. And then she submitted all that documentation to the police, resulting in her parents getting arrested. Because while she was different than she would have been in Huxley's Haven, she was still made from the ground up to be extremely, no, this is the rule. You broke the rule. It's wrong to break the rule. So it's a fun setting that actually acknowledges human nature to my mind. And it feels like a future that could actually happen. A lot of sci-fi, it tends to just hand wave things that I'm going, you can't just fucking hand wave that. You need to have an explanation of why we moved past that. That's such a big problem. And it's been such a big problem for so fucking long. You need to explain that shit.
It's laziness and a lack of real imagination. Like, they claim to have all the creativity, but I'm like, you have the least amount.
Yep. And like I said, they do a really good job of that in the Commonwealth series because they address the fact that, yeah, you have people that think that socialism and communism are the best way forward. You have people that think that monarchy is the best way forward. Those people aren't going to just die off in the next 100 years. So what the Commonwealth series did was they went, yeah, those people are still around. We gave them other planets. We told them to fuck off.
Yeah.
And those planets are being run. Some of them have survived thus far. A lot of them have died off. And then there's also people that refuse to leave. So they start being terrorists and shit like that for their ideology. And that's addressed in the setting. Hell, one of the major characters in the Commonwealth series is an apologetic socialist terrorist. Because he was doing something for the good of a revolution. And then he accidentally blew up a shit ton of kids, and he's felt guilty ever since.
As you should.
Yeah, that's a very human thing. And again, it's a setting that has managed to be a futuristic setting that is, to my mind, an extremely believable futuristic setting. And it doesn't ignore any of the problems of society. In fact, it looks at them straight in the face and goes, yeah, this will probably still be around in the next 300 years, in the next 400 years, in the next 500 years. We're going to be dealing with this shit. So rather than just ignoring that this exists, how would this futuristic society deal with this? Well, we have a shit ton of planets. Let's give them planets. They want to live out their communist fantasy? Okay. You're given this world. It's just as good as any other world. If it succeeds, that's on you. If it fails, that's on you.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. That sounds like a really nice concept for a real-time strategy game.
Oh, yeah.
Where you just have all these different planet factions going after each other. I mean, I also have Dune in my head right now because you were talking about all these different planets and stuff. But yeah, that sounds like it'd be a fun time.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, it is a fantastic sci-fi setting because it acknowledges this. It doesn't just try to gloss over it. It doesn't just try to ignore that we have these issues. It goes, no, we have these issues. These issues are fucking here to stay. How will we deal with them? And one of the other things that's kind of interesting is there's a bunch of debates between people in the setting where there's people that they don't view rejuvenation and relifing as, or they don't view relifing as actually a continuation of their life. They view it as, that's not me, that's someone with my memories saying that they're me, but that's a different person. That just, they have the same memories up to this point. And then you have other people that go, well, I kind of agree with what they're saying, so rather than relifing, I would rather become a multiple. And a multiple in the setting is kind of what it sounds like. It's a person that decides that they're going to inhabit several bodies all at once. So they have a perpetuation of their consciousness, because if one body dies, well, they have more bodies. And they're all of those bodies at the same time, allowing them to continue their life. You have other people that view it as, relifing. It's all your memories in a body. It's you.
Well, I mean, that sounds kind of like that, like that teleportation bit where it's like, yeah, you teleport, it copies all of your being, your physical being, and
it maps all of the atoms in the exact way that they need to be in order to make you. Then it disassembles you and reassembles you, but none of the cells or none of the atoms that are used in the reassembly were the atoms that were used or that came from the disassembly.
Yeah,
so did you die or did you get teleported?
Yeah.
And there's questions like that throughout the entire Commonwealth series. And they're really well done. They aren't just glossed over, which is, again, one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite sci-fi series. Because it doesn't just go, well, everyone already agrees that this is fine. No. It goes, there's people that this fucks with constantly. And they refuse to do certain things. There's people that refuse to be teleported in a T-sphere. Because they're going, no, teleportation kills me and then just makes someone with all my memories. They aren't me. They're just someone that has all my memories. That's fucking creepy. I don't like it. There's people that they don't want to be relifed. They'll be rejuved time and time again, but they won't be relifed because relifing is not actually making it so that I live again. All it's doing is it's making it so that someone with my memories is alive. And someone with my memories is not necessarily me. There's people that don't like rejuves because rejuves, it is unnatural. We're supposed to die.
Dude, be careful. You don't want to say that word.
And with that setting, with that way of expressing the universe, it feels extremely realistic and extremely natural to how humanity is. When we get those sorts of texts, there will absolutely be people that go, no, I don't like this. This feels weird. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And then there'll be people that go, oh, this is fucking awesome. Yes, please, and more.
Yeah.
And it acknowledges both of those sorts of people rather than just going, oh, no, everyone agrees. Everyone's fine. Which is why it's one of my favorite series. Because, again, it's one of the few sci-fis that it feels like an actual possible future of humanity rather than, oh yeah, this would be an amazing future, but we aren't going to do that. We aren't going to be like this. We aren't going to act like this. Also, it's one of the few sci-fi series that one of the major heroes is an absolutely ridiculous capitalist. And I mean, like, the most amazing capitalist character in fucking anything, motherfucking Gore Benali. Gore Benali has a list of things that he puts in order of importance. So the most important thing to Gore Benali is that humanity survives. If humanity survives, he's willing to sacrifice anything else to make sure that it survives. That you have the next thing for him is his family. If his family survives, he's willing to sacrifice anything other than the human race in order to keep his family alive. He'll sacrifice himself happily. Then below his family is his business. The motherfucker has his business as number 3. And then number 4 for his priority of these are the most important things to me. Business, like I said. Number 4 is where he actually comes into the calculation. He's number 4 on his list of importance. His race, and by race I mean the human race, not a anthropological race. Humans as a whole. His species, let me phrase it that way. His species, his family, his business, and then himself. And he lives up to that in the most glorious and insane fashions. There's one point where the dude is just going absolutely ham, and it is amazing. Because he's gloriously mental. I love that character. Gore Benali, one of the best characters in all fiction. Fight me.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a series that it's one of the series that I can never recommend too much. Because just everything about the series is so good. The characters are amazing. The fact that it feels like a future that is actually possible is amazing.
And what was the title of the series?
It's
Once
the
again,
Commonwealth Saga
the Commonwealth Saga.
by Peter F. Hamilton.
Can you get that on like Amazon or like a Nook or something like that?
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Audible. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it on a bunch of different things.
Nook. Is that even the thing still? But do either of you, is that how you read your books nowadays?
I do audiobooks. I do hard copies.
I admit I haven't done a hard copy in a long time, but that's just it's expensive, so I will read things online on occasion, but I don't judge anyone who uses like if you want to listen to a book, I don't judge anyone for that. Like a lot of people that I know are truckers, so they know more literature than I do just simply from
Yo.
that.
Well, I mean, it makes a lot more sense, especially with truckers. I mean, if all you're doing is driving, yeah, just pop that in and just listen to it. I mean, that's how I do a lot of my stuff is with audio and then digital. So
Mhm.
it's now that's why I always chuckle at when people are like, oh, look at my library. They have all these hard copies and stuff, and it's like,
And if you do the Audible, the voice actor is fantastic.
the what?
The voice actor.
Who?
The narrator for the Commonwealth series. Let me quickly check who it is. But he's fantastic. I listened to the audios for the Commonwealth Saga.
Would
So
would either of you do a book read for VA?
oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, I have recordings of me reading through a few chapters of Robin Hood.
Dude, do you have it? Do you have it online anywhere?
I did it for a friend who streams. Yeah, I have those on her Discord. I can also post them elsewhere.
As long as you have copies. What about you, Jen?
For readouts, not necessarily. Like I wouldn't mind trying, but I make no promises because it's kind of good to like practice when it comes to readouts for me because I read too fast. My brain will read ahead faster than my mouth is keeping up, and then I'm like, oh, I see the problem.
Oh,
Yeah, the read that I was doing of Robin Hood's Merry Men by Pyle has one of my favorite lines from it. Let me quickly pull it up. It's just in the preface to the series, but it has a fantastic phrase at the end of it, which the phrase is clap the leaves, which means to close the book. But here, let me pull it up and I can.
my brain is so deranged that it said clap.
Clap the leaves,
Clap
and you
the
thought of
leaves and-
fucking the book?
No, I thought of booty cheeks
Ah,
closing out the
okay.
book.
So
Somebody's
yeah,
twerking and she managed to catch the leaf.
the preface for The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood by Howard Pyle is fantastic because it's you who so plod amid serious things that you feel it shame to give yourself up, even for a few short moments, to mirth and joyousness in the lands of fancy. You who think that life hath naught to do with innocent laughter that can harm no one, these pages are not for you. Clap the leaves and go no farther than this. For I tell you plainly that if you go farther, you will be scandalized by seeing good, sober folk of real history so frisk and caper in gay colors and motley that you would not know them but for the names tagged to them. Here is a stout, lusty fellow with quick temper, yet none so ill for all that, who goes by the name Henry II. Here's a fair, gentle lady, before whom all the others bow and call her Queen Eleanor. Here is a fat rogue of a fellow, dressed up in rich robes of a clerical kind, that all the good folk may call my Lord Bishop of Hereford. Here is a certain fellow with a sour temper and grim look, the worshipful Sheriff of Nottingham. And here, above all, is a great, tall, merry fellow that roams the greenwoods and joins in homely sports, and sits beside the sheriff at merry feast, which same beareth the name of the proudest of the Plantagenets, Richard of the Lion's Heart. Beside these are a whole host of knights, priests, nobles, burghers, yeomen, pages, ladies, lasses, landlords, beggars, peddlers, and whatnot, all living the merriest of merry lives, and all bound by nothing but a few old strands of a certain old ballad, snipped and clipped and tied together again in a score of knots, which draw these jocund fellows here and there, singing as they go. Here you will find 100 dull and sober jogging places, all tricked out with flowers and whatnot, till no one would know them in their fanciful dress. And here is a country bearing a well-known name, wherein no chill mists press upon our spirits, and no rain falls, but what rolls off our backs like April showers off the backs of sleek drakes, where flowers bloom forever, and birds are always singing, where every fellow hath a merry catch as he travels the roads, and ale and beer and wine, such as muddles no wits, flows like water in a brook. This land is not fairyland. What is it? 'Tis the land of fancy, and is of that pleasant kind that when you tire of it, whisk, you clap the leaves of this book together, and 'tis gone, and you are ready for everyday life with no harm done. And now I lift the curtain that hangs between here and no man's land. Will you come with me, sweet reader? I thank you. Give me your hand. Like I said, it's a fantastic bit of writing that really gets you in the mood for an adventure.
That was really good.
Yeah, nice reading, sir.
Thank you. And for those who are interested in reading that, it is The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood by Howard Pyle, which you can find for free at the Gutenberg Press. Which you guys all know Project Gutenberg, right?
Yeah.
It is a... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I remember Gut.
Wait, what's Gutenberg Press, like the historical figure?
So the Gutenberg Press and Project Gutenberg. Project Gutenberg is a site that is made to preserve works that have gone into the Creative Commons. They're all available free of charge. And the Gutenberg Press is their component of their site that has all of the books posted.
Ah.
So if you look up Project Gutenberg online, you'll be able to find one of the largest, if not the largest, public repository of Creative Commons works.
Nice. And hopefully this is one that can't be burnt down.
Thankfully, this is not able to be burnt down unless someone were to attack its hosting, which if you attack the hosting of Project Gutenberg, there's a special place in every kind of hell for you. But yeah, the narrator on the Peter F. Hamilton series is John Lee. And John Lee has a fantastic voice for it.
I hate to say it, and only because we have to have a little bit of. Is it JONLEE or is it JOHN?
JOHN space LEE. John Lee.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
And
it is again by Peter F. Hamilton. It is a fantastic series that I highly recommend.
Yeah, that was a bomb. Oof. Sorry. But yeah, it sounds like an interesting series there.
Mm-hmm. But at some point, I'll probably double check with a friend that I did the original reads for The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood and upload them somewhere online as well. Perhaps make a YouTube channel for them. Because they are really fun to read. Also, the old terms that are hilarious because people don't know what they mean. Like, do you happen to know what a tinker is? And I don't mean tinker as in someone who tinkers. I mean tinker, the term that would now be considered a slur.
Hold on. First off, you can't say not somebody who tinkers. Okay. Well, if they don't know what tinkering means, like I'm assuming the tinkering part is I'm also experimenting with distance on this mic too. So please let me know if audible. But tinkering, so a tinker would be somebody who would, tinker with objects. But what is the other implication?
So, tinker is the original meaning of tinker was someone who worked tin. So, tin cur.
Oh,
so it's someone who works tin, and they would repair pots and pans and odd bits and end, especially anything made out of tin. That's what a tinker was. There was a specific societal group that was known to be tinkers because they were bumped about from town to town since no one wanted them around. So they would be traveling tinkers. And those are the traveling folk. In Eastern Europe, they would be known as the Romani and the Gypsies.
Okay. So these are the proto gypsies.
In the UK, or in the lands now known as the UK, and as Ireland, they'd be known as travellers, pikeys, and the like. So, yeah, there's a story that is Robin Hood and the Tinker, where Robin Hood at one point laughs about a bunch of travelers getting hung.
Holy shit.
It was him making a joke at the man's expense because he realized that the man was a tinker when the man was trying to hide the fact that he was a tinker. So he made a dig at the man, pretended to laugh at the death of his fellow
what would have
members, and
what would have shown the sign that you were a tinkerer?
So the tinkers had a certain style of dress and a certain eccentricity about them at the time.
Okay. So
they were also constantly on the road, moving from area to area because they would show up in an area, they would fix some shit, and then they would either be driven from the town or leave the town freely.
They do off the road sales markets type stuff.
Like I said, they would show up at a town and they would go, "Hey, do you have any pots and pans that need mending? Do you have any small bits of things that have broken? Also, here's some goods that I got at the previous town. Are any of you interested in a new ale tankard or perhaps a nice mug? Are you interested in a new plate, a new pot, a new pan? Oh, you want to buy that? Fantastic. Here's the coin. Here's your product." And then they were also given the reputation of being thieves, murderers, doing horrendous things to the various townswomen, and kidnapping children. So they would often be driven from the town after fixing everything.
Huh.
Oh.
Yeah,
As you do.
it's an interesting part of history if you're at all curious about it. I just find it hilarious that it's a term that would now, if people knew about it, they would probably say that it's a slur.
Well, my mind immediately went to the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And so that's what Judge Frollo was lusting over.
Yep. He was lusting over Esmeralda, who was a gypsy of the town. And if she were in England, she would have commonly been known as a tinkerer.
Yeah, making little tinkerish artifacts. Instead, she was seducing this poor hunchback, just hanging out in the bell tower.
Seducing poor Judge Frollo.
Yeah. Judge Frollo was just trying to keep law and order in Gay-O Paris.
And trying to keep his dick in his pants.
Well, yeah, I don't think he wore pants. I think.
You don't know under his skirt.
Yeah, it looked like a skirt.
Just because he wore a robe doesn't mean that he didn't have pants on under his robe.
I mean, honestly,
What, do you expect him to be free balling in the cathedral?
If I was told to wear just at least a robe, yeah, I'm free balling.
Free balling in the cathedral before the eyes of God? I see how you are.
I want the winds of God to blow against my nutsack so I don't get swamp ass.
Give you a nice refreshing breeze.
Yeah. Russian, yeah. Revolva Barossa, here's some Febreze on your bolsa, vero, veravasero. I don't know the rest of it, but
you can ask Donkey next time.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knows.
You better not be laughing, Jen.
I'm laughing.
No. You're not laughing. Justin Trudeau said, "Hey, you're not allowed to laugh at American jokes."
If it was American jokes, he'd probably encourage me to. He's biased.
But you would just be laughing at the expense of the Soviet Union.
True. But he likes China more. Yeah, he's China's little potato, remember?
We lost all the viewers. I'm sorry about the singing of the Russian.
Nice.
Oh, jeez. Do you believe in miracles?
Oh. You got to make up for that with like something like, I don't know. Oh, I lost it. Never mind. I was going to go with like a Jones joke and I lost it.
Well, hey, did the Canadians ever play hockey against the Russians?
Yeah, we did. It was encouraged by you guys heavily, but we enjoyed it because they're good hockey players. We also learned the trick of beating the crap out of each other from that.
That's true.
Those games were phenomenal. That's what I've been told. I wasn't allowed to watch them at the time, though.
You see, hockey brings us all together.
Right? It's a game. You know.
We may punch each other in the face from time to time, and we may high stick a puck to a degree, but at the end of the day, we just want some fair games and fun games.
Yes.
Yeah.
And while we don't hate the gays, not everything has to be gay. Not
Wait,
everybody is
what?
gay.
No, I didn't say. I said
I'm
games,
kidding. I'm kidding.
not gays.
I'm
I'm
just
sure
messing.
fun gays and fair gays. For sure, yes.
It's like, why don't you add something for them without taking out everything else for everybody else? That's maybe we try that one.
That's the next slogan going forward. Fun and fair gays. Oh, please let my
Just
mic
avoid the gay gays.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. You know it's only a matter of time before someone starts complaining about the gay gays.
Are you double gay? Is it like Super Saiyan gay?
No, they're already complaining about the male gays. Soon it'll be about the gay gays.
Well,
And
now
how the gay gays is never on them.
Holy
Because
shit,
they
hold
hate
on.
women.
Gays.
Yes.
The male gay. Oh my god, now you just added a fucking fourth dimension. So,
Yes, I did.
oh god. Lord be with me as we go into this cubicle. So now we have the gazes of the gays. Is it a male gay gaze or is it a female gay gaze? Is it a gay gaze?
it makes me feel some sympathy for the gays because I know I keep saying that, but every time they write a character into a game that's a self-insert or a movie that's a self-insert, and you're like, you don't know how to write, and then they're like the worst relationships, or they suck, or they're like shitty people, or they're like annoying, or they're stereotypes.
Yeah, well, yeah. When there's stereotypes, it's like, okay, sometimes you can write it nicely where it plays, but a lot of times it's just like, okay, dude, you're pulling us out of the story.
It's like you are the token gay guy. Okay, I gotcha. Okay,
And
how about giving you a personality too? Okay.
I talked about one series that I really enjoyed. That series also, the Commonwealth Saga, also has a character that is gay in it, but he is not ridiculously, I'm the gay one. It's just a character that happens to be gay.
Yeah, I it's just how I am. Like I have read books with gay characters that were actually good books, and then I read your shit, and I'm like, this is crap. I feel for the gays. I'm like, I feel for you guys. I wish I could write for you, but I can't. And I don't know what it's like to be gay. But every time I've read fan fiction, it's usually clear who's writing it. It's gay.
There's another series that is really good about having a character that happens to be gay.
Yeah.
Rather than writing a gay character, and it's the Black Magician Chronicles.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Which had a character that happened to be gay. And
it's okay to be gay.
It wasn't the sum total of his character.
Oh no.
He had other more important aspects of his character. It was just, turned out dude was gay. And the way that you found out he was gay, it mattered to the story. It wasn't just them going, psst, by the way, I like fucking assholes, and then running away, or him just being obnoxiously gay. No. It mattered to the story that he was gay. You found out in a way that was organic to the story, and it worked in the story that he was gay. That's how you write a gay character. If it doesn't fucking matter, you don't tell the sexuality of a character. If it matters, you can tell the sexuality of the characters. Just don't make them the X character. Don't make them the gay character. Don't make them the bi character. Make them a character who happens to be gay, or happens to be bi, or happens to be black, or happens to be insert demographic here.
Whoa.
Well, I had this conversation with one of my gay friends, it was just came up, and I was just like, are you ever tired of all the gay characters being twinks? And he was just like, yeah. I'm like,
Wait, being what?
twinks.
Oh, twinks.
I remember, I know it sounds sad, but back in my day, I had this t-shirt that I actually didn't mind because it was the list of all the different gay people you could encounter. Yes, twinks was on there, but they had you multiple different types of personalities. They just happen to like a certain thing in bed.
Yeah,
and I'm still gonna eat Twinkies, by the way.
You should.
But going with your story, sir. Why don't they just do it in like a murder mystery type tale where two detectives go out try and solve a crime, but all of a sudden they learn that they love each other, and then they subtly and not right in your face like, oh my god, yeah, and his ball sack was hanging on my nut or my chin, and all of a sudden it's like,
was hanging on my nuts. How the fuck did you hang a ball sack?
I don't know. It was like I had a brain fart, but yes, perverted gay sex going on, and then all of a sudden, no, we don't need that. It could be just like a simple, a fucking straightforward novel of a detective mystery, and then all of a sudden they're gay.
Yep. And that's kind of like what happened in the Black Magician series, because the Black Magician series, it was, again, something that was organic to the story. It was the dude at the time when it came out that, oh yeah, dude was absolutely gay. He was an ambassador, and it was another ambassador and him started really getting together extremely well. And then he kind of realized, holy shit, I think I'm gay. And that was him being gay in that story. It was a minor note that did somewhat matter to the plot. It was organic to the plot. And again, his character wasn't just, oh yeah, he's the gay one. He was intelligent. He was extremely capable. He did things that mattered to the plot and mattered massively to the plot. So it moved the story forward to have him there. It wasn't just, oh yeah, we put him in the story because we realized we needed a gay guy.
Yeah, we gotta emphasize that there's gayness. And that's the thing too. It's like, look, you should have the story worked out, and if you want to pepper in the character's personal life in there, sure,
Make it make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense, and work it into the story that smooths it in.
Yep.
And be prepared that if you take the sex scenes too far, that people just skip that shit, because that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yep.
Not everybody wants to read some goofy ass fucking. All of a sudden, there's like, holy shit, and then the next scene is, and then all of a sudden, we're eating some English muffins with some grape jelly on it. It's like, dude, fucking. What the
I
fuck?
spent a night with him and my prostate will never be the same. Too much info.
Yeah, after reading the last bullshit, my prostate isn't fucking feeling well. So this is a problem. But hold on.
Sorry.
Rotten, you say obviously Adam still has, I can't see what it says after has because the heart thing is there. Work on his gay erotica. No. And on a side note, if I may, can I, before we end the show, can I add a story? Because it will tie into this. I swear to you.
Is it about your gay erotica?
It's about Sure.
Because I'm worried with how it's tying in now.
It's tying in, but I just need to be able to tell a story.
Because
But
we just left off with mentioning gay erotica, and suddenly you have a story that ties in with this? That sounds a bit dicey.
No, I don't want to interrupt the as I'm already doing. I don't want to interrupt more with a story within a story. So if I could tell it at the end of the show. Okay. Yeah, let's continue with where are we at?
No, we're
Gay.
just talking.
Gay.
We're talking about stories and how to write characters into them.
Yeah.
A lot of people got really pissed off at J.K. Rowling because she came out after the fact and said that Dumbledore was gay. And they were going, well, there was never any sign in the story he was gay. Yeah, he was the principal of a school. And you were learning the story from the perspective of the children. I'd be really fucking concerned if Harry Potter knew the sexuality of his principal.
Yeah, especially when he's that old. That's just
Yeah.
something you don't want to know anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And what
problem is
did it
that
have to do with
there's
the
only
story?
three instructors at the school, 3 professors that you have any sort of knowledge of what their sexuality is in that series. Because you know Snape, because Snape wanted to fuck Lily Potter. Boom.
Yeah.
He was straight. That's known. Do you remember the other 2 professors that you actually had some indication of what their attractions were?
Lupin, who was straight, and
Wasn't there one who did potions or something like that?
Well, that was Snape, that you knew that he was straight because he wanted Lily. Did they ever address Lupin? I didn't think they talked about him.
He got into a relationship with I can't remember her name. It was I can Nymphadora. I can't remember her last name, but she was technically the niece of Sirius. She was the niece of Sirius.
So then there were 4 that you knew the sexuality of. It was Lupin and Snape. What were the other 2?
McGonagall, which we never knew. Yet again, I suspect she was probably straight, but other than that, she didn't seem to be in a relationship at all. There was none of the teachers were really like, hey, I'm straight, I'm gay. They were kind of just adults doing teaching. And
yep. And like I said, there's only 2 that there was any sort of indication. And it sounds like you don't remember them. Sprout and Flitwick.
Well, I was thinking them, but then there was like Trelawney, and then like for a short period they had the lady who did the plants.
That was Sprout.
Yeah.
Sprout and Flitwick during the ball section of the story in the Goblet of Fire.
And I mean, if you go further, which you did, Hagrid was technically a teacher too, but we knew he was straight because of the giant lady. I wanted them to hook up. I kept hoping they would. They were cute.
But of the 2 ones at the start, it was Sprout and giant lady.
She was the headmistress of the French League. She was she was a giantess.
Oh.
She was a half giantess, just like he was a half giant. But in the story, 2 of the ones that you actually had some inkling of were Sprout and Flitwick, because during the ball and during the lead up to the ball when they were all learning how to dance, there were several comments about how they kept on making eyes at each other and they would dance together and they seemed to really be enjoying each other's company. So that was kind of like that's a wholesome thing that these 2 have the hots for each other and are kind of flirting. And that was the degree of the sexuality of the teachers. You knew that Hagrid had the hots for Giantess. You knew that Snape wanted to bone Lily. You knew that Lupin wanted to go for Nymphadora. And then you knew Sprout and Flitwick. Those were the only teachers that you actually had any real inkling of. All the other teachers, you were going, yeah, these are teachers. They're sexless beings as far as I'm concerned, because they're teachers. Because when I was in school, I didn't give a shit who my teachers wanted to fuck. My teachers, I thought were just teachers. When you're in school at young ages, you kind of have the feeling that at the end of the school day, your teachers just enter a closet and then someone hits an off switch. And then every morning, someone turns them back on and they're back at school. Because it's weird seeing your teachers outside, not in the schoolroom. And that's normal. The fact that they were going, well, she didn't tell us that he was gay in the story. Yeah, it would be kind of creepy if she told us he was gay in the story. If you had Harry walking in on him just giving it to Nicholas Flamel, that would have been kind of fucked up. So it's a good thing that it wasn't clear from the story. There was nothing saying that he was straight. There was nothing saying he was gay. And then her coming out and going, oh yeah, he was gay, by the way. It didn't matter to the story, so it was never addressed. But yeah, if you want to know about a character who was gay, he was gay. Okay. Doesn't change anything because, again, it wasn't important to the plot. So you shouldn't fucking know about it. You shouldn't care about it.
You know, I was seeing some articles recently about correlation between what people are experiencing now with the results of the everybody trophy type thing. What is it? And yeah, I definitely see that. You know, I need to be represented. Why?
Yep. And the thing is that it seems to be only certain groups are saying that they need to be represented. But then in media, look at the popularity of Dragon Ball in
And yeah, Mexico is
Hispanic
fucking
nations.
loving it. Yep.
Yeah, Hispanic nations fucking love Dragon Ball. That has nothing to do with Hispanic culture.
And last I checked, there's not a lot of Hispanics that are half monkey people and
Not a lot of
fucking
Saiyans in Mexico.
Japanese people. Yeah, like what the fuck is going on?
Not a lot of Saiyans in Mexico. Not many Japanese people in Mexico. Not a lot of Asians in Mexico in general. So
They don't have tails. Like what's going on?
Yeah, their love of a Japanese sci-fi telling of a Chinese story, it wouldn't make sense if you have to see yourself in something in order to identify with it. But yet, a lot of Hispanic guys identify with Goku, or with Piccolo, or with Vegeta. None of them are Namekian. None of them are Saiyan.
Nope.
But yet, people are still able to connect with them.
Dude,
a lot of white guys are able to connect with them.
None of them are androids.
Yep.
Fucking agent. None of them are fucking androids or fucking aliens and shit.
Yeah,
you know, like,
none of them are androids, and none of them are fucking androids either. So that rules out Krillin.
Oh, come on, dude. Don't Krillin under the bus.
Hey, Krillin got to fuck his android mommy. It works.
Look, he won at the end.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Krillin and Goku were winning at life.
Yep. And nobody cared if they were Mexican or fucking.
Yeah.
And I mean, at least Krillin wasn't Yamcha, because if you don't know,
Whoa.
Yamcha has a death day cake.
No, don't. Why did you bring up Yamcha?
Yamcha has also had every single girl that he was interested in stolen from him by someone
Yep.
else.
and he's most notable for his death pose.
Yep.
Congratulations. Oh no.
And
Poor Yamcha.
exactly, Rotten. It's because they identify with the message, with the story, with the world, not with what the character's skin tone is. It's the reason why you have a bunch of black kids that love Naruto, a bunch of black kids that love Dragon Ball, a bunch of them that love Bleach, and insert anime here. People around the world love different animes. They don't look like the anime characters. And we know that they don't need to look like the anime characters to identify with them. But then when it comes to Western media, we have a bunch of people saying, well, if they don't look like you, then you can't identify with them. That's just telling you that you can't identify with anyone unless you see yourself, which is kind of fucked up. Because I'm not a woman. I can watch Aliens and go, man, I kind of identify with Ripley. Ripley's fucking badass. I can watch The Terminator, and I am neither a robot nor a woman trying to run from futuristic assassins, but I can identify with the Terminator in Terminator 2 and Sarah Connor in Terminator 1.
I identify as that guy in Tremors.
Burt Gummer?
Yeah, and I'm worried about sandworms, and I wish I had a lot of guns.
You need to get your playroom set up.
Wait, who is his wife?
His wife was Reba McEntire.
Woo! Gonna have to reload.
Yeah, his wife was Reba McEntire, and their playroom is one of the best playrooms in existence. But you don't need to look like characters in order to identify with them. The character needs to have a character in order for you to identify with them. And depending on how their character's set up, you will either go, yeah, I can see myself in that, or no, fuck them.
Well, I mean, then you walk into that area where it's like, are they just thinking that they can look like that person and things will be better? Or is it like, because I can look at Optimus Prime and be like, oh yeah, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah, I'm not an Autobot. I can look at Optimus Prime and I can go, I identify with Optimus Prime. I'm not
I'm not a semi-truck.
Yeah, I'm not a semi-truck. I'm not an Autobot. I'm not what was the animal version?
Oh, Primal.
Yeah, it was
Primal.
Optimus Primal, but
Optimus
what
Primal.
were the
He was a gorilla.
Autobots called? Because it wasn't Autobots.
Beast
it was
Wars or something like that.
Yeah, it was Beast Wars was the name of the show, but it
I
wasn't
didn't watch that too much.
Autobots. It was something else that they were known as in Beast Wars. But yeah, you don't have to look like the character. You don't have to be like the character in the superficial characteristics to identify with the character. You can identify with the character because it's a really damn good character.
Well, I mean, you'd hope so. Even as a performer, you'd want to be able to have that that push of, yeah, I'm gonna be here. I mean, if anything, for a paycheck, but also, like, shit, you hope you're doing something for the good of
Mm-hmm.
of your medium, but yeah.
A lot of this goes back to the story done by Lego. Are we talking Lego as in the plastic blocks, or are we talking Lego as in there's someone by the name of Lego?
Lego my ego.
Or are we talking about the Egos, apparently? That is also a valid option.
Well, I saw that there's D&D Lego. I really want to get the Nintendo Lego, where it's a
Mm-hmm.
TV set and the NES.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the Atari one too.
Someone did make a Mario Lego that it was set up so that you turn a crank and it's the entire first level of Mario.
Yeah, it's the NES one. They set it up so shit. Damn it. They set it up so once you build it, you have a TV set with a NES, and if you turn the crank, it's level 1 just going over and over again.
Yep.
It's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Atari also has a Lego set. I'm waiting for my Sega Saturn Lego set.
But yeah, it's if you want people to connect with your story, make a story that people can connect with. Don't just try to go, well, if we put characters of the same ethnicity in this, then they'll be able to identify. No, they won't. You need a story that they can identify with. But it sounds like we've pretty much wound down. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we've been doing this for
Just over 2 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you said that you wanted to say something, Adam?
I wanted to say 7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth on this nation. Oh my god, I cannot remember the rest of it. I did not have my script. Where's my script? Oof.
For shame.
Well, look, okay, I was trying to test this new microphone or not new, but different microphone. But yeah, no, I didn't have anything to add.
Sounded okay. It was good.
Yeah. Did it? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think anyone had any complaints. Chat seemed to like it. So.
Well, I might be trying to hang out in the arcade tomorrow because hey, happy 420. Let's have some fun. But no, thanks for letting me hang out with you, Sanguine.
Always fun. Always glad to have you both.
Yeah,
so would you like anything else in your parting words, Adam?
God bless and I love y'all.
Copy that. Jen, parting words.
Oh goodness. I remember when rainbows used to be like fun things. So let's go back to that. Flavored bubblegum was just because it was fruit flavored. Let's go back to that.
With the zebra?
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The zebra bubblegum too.
Was it good?
It was bubblegum.
Yeah, dude, it was bubblegum.
It was kind of basic bubblegum. It wasn't really good bubble gum. It wasn't terrible bubble gum. It was just kind of bubble gum.
Okay. If it was like a Resident Evil, it was a low level heal kit. So it'll give you a few level limit time of flavor, as opposed to Bubblicious
Yeah. Or Bazooka Joe.
or Bazooka Joe. Yeah,
Bazooka Joe, kind of like an A tier bubble gum.
Yep. Oh no.
But with that, I'll leave off with my standard of if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Good night.
Have a good night.
It takes a moment